Earlier this week,
Yeah.
in the Highlands Ranch Herald, there was
Right.
an op-ed piece done by a resident up there, talked about gray water usage, encouraging us to do anything with gray water. Is Castle Rock working on anything along those lines, or are there just too many challenges?
Oh no, that's another great question. We are doing stuff with gray water, and you know a little bit about this.
That might have been a softball question,
yeah.
I admit it.
You were on council when we passed the gray water ordinance.
Yeah.
And so now, just to be clear for folks that are listening, gray water is a little different than reuse water. Gray water generally is when you're reusing water inside the home, or you're reusing water without that water going through a formal water reclamation facility. And we actually, you'll be excited to hear this since you were around when we passed the ordinance, we actually finally have a project that's ongoing right now where they're putting in gray water systems in homes here in Castle Rock. So over in the Meadows, Lennar, one of our home builders, is putting in a system called a grader system. And the way that system works, it takes the water that you use, say in the shower and in the bathroom for your sinks and in kitchen and other locations, and it recycles that water inside the house for toilet flushing.
Oh, wow.
So that you actually get 2 uses out of that water before it comes to us for treatment at the water reclamation facility.
So we're not talking about a system in a home that's treating, raw sewage from the toilets.
No.
It's, washing your hands,
Right.
washing dishes, and then that gets processed in the home.
Yes.
Well, for folks that might be interested in something like that, have we seen what those cost? Do we have a good understanding of that? Or quite frankly, Mark, is that really a concern that you have at all? That's really the home builder's concern.
No, it's definitely a concern. We actually offer rebates and incentives for home builders to do this as a part of our water efficiency plan program. Just to be clear, the way it does work in the house is that water that you've washed your hands with or showered with, it actually does get treated in a mini unit inside the house. So it actually gets filtered and it gets disinfected even before it goes to the toilet for toilet flushing. So if your dog gets into it, it'll probably still be okay, right?
Yeah.
Fido's not going to have a big problem. But we are concerned. The costs are significant. So in Castle Rock, we're only doing this on new builds right now. We're not extending that to existing houses, partly because it's pretty challenging to retrofit a house to do that system after the fact.
You bet. You bet. Just to continue the conversation about gray water, one of the things we did see in that article was using gray water for irrigation of the lawn and everything. I mean, I didn't hear you talk about that when you were talking about what's being done here in Castle Rock.
Right.
Would even something like that be appropriate? Would something like that be something that Castle Rock could explore?
Absolutely. Our ordinance allows us to do that. The way our ordinance is structured is a home builder or a developer has to come to us with, hey, I want to look at using this particular type of system. And then we review that through our engineering program and make sure we're comfortable with it. And then we'll work with them to roll that out. So if someone comes to us to do that, we'd be more than interested in exploring that. Okay. And as you know, we already do reuse water at the golf course as well, and that's non-potable reuse. So a couple of years ago, Castle Rock built a pipeline from the water reclamation facility to Red Hawk Golf Course. And now all of the irrigation water at Red Hawk Golf Course is basically treated water from the water reclamation facility.
Outstanding, because I know it's always been a concern with so much of the historic use of water here in Castle Rock being aquifer-based.
Right.
And that was something that I can remember coming up when Red Hawk Golf Course was first built, of, do we want to have a golf course that we're watering with our aquifer resources? So it sounds like we've cracked the code and found a solution that gets around that.
We have, yeah. So we're no longer using Denver Basin aquifer groundwater for watering the golf course. Instead, we're using that water reclaimed from the wastewater treatment plant. And the good news is that water does have a little bit of nutrient in it as well that's good for the golf course in terms of growing grass, right?